And I know that you'd launched this ahead of essentially the COVID pandemic, right? But I think before that, we just weren't thinking about video or social media. Like, I'll be honest, that pandemic changed everything. It flipped everything about like social media and the way that people use it and the idea of video content or even the idea of a podcast, and just flipped it on its head to something that people were like, oh, do we really need that? To like, oh shit, we need that overnight and we have no idea how to do that. Explain what that was like for you, because I imagine that, yeah, it went from probably being kind of slow to being like, oh crap, like how do we even keep up with this?
Yes and no. So for the first 2 weeks, I just hid under my bed crying, going, "How are we gonna even do this?" Because we do a lot of our teachings in person. If you
Yeah.
can only imagine that you're sitting beside someone and you're teaching them how to shoot and how to edit and that kind of thing. So we did have to reinvent ourselves and take everything online, and we actually became kind of specialists in video conferencing. So I was working with officials, we were working with people to go to their home or office and or even through the lens say, okay, I see a window over there, I know there's a light source, we need to, set your field of view up to be the most professional. Let's talk about looking to the lens, talking to the camera, hand gesturing. And so there was a lot of coaching and consulting, and that's kind of what we turned into. It's still all education, still all training, right? But yes, things did very much pick up thereafter. I love to say that I was standing on the top of a skyscraper screaming, everybody needs video. And then the pandemic hit, and I needed to rappel to ground zero where everybody was kind of up in smoke trying to figure out how to navigate this, buying tons of equipment they don't even know how to use. And still, I think a lot of people have, the extra equipment sitting in and around their
Yeah.
desk in boxes, or they knew they needed to have it, but they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we did. We got quite busy quite fast. Remarkably, the end here is remarkably, there's still a tremendous amount of resistance to video. And I think a lot of that comes with fear of self, fear of getting in front of the camera, hearing your own voice, looking at your own hand gestures. And this is mindset stuff. It's
Yeah.
more of that than it is the technical.
Yeah.
There is the resistance that we saw to social media, which really started to ramp up in 2007. And people said, we're not going to use this for business. This is not going to be a tool for marketing. And now I think eventually people jumped on that bandwagon. They understood that what this did is that completely crumbled the broadcast era and gave direct access to the customer in what we now refer to as the digital era, which is the era of digital storytelling. And so it's so funny, the psyche around it, because I'm not sure when that will really start to open up. I think I'm seeing it now,
Yeah.
even years after now, it's just like, yeah, we really should get on this video thing. It's like, you don't say.